Welcome to Martha Runs the World, a podcast with a new take on running, fitness, and all things health-oriented. I'm Martha Hughes, your host, and each week I present a new topic that is of interest to all runners. Welcome to episode 293 of Martha Runs the World. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it every week. You make my life better, I tell you. This week, I'm talking about my short trip to the mountains, to Lake Tahoe and the Sierra Nevada mountains, to the Desolation Wilderness area. And I will also talk about my long run Saturday, which was really amazing. And I also finally figured out why I fell last December, and I will talk about that. As soon as I see the tips of the Sierra Nevada mountains, a peace comes over me that I feel nowhere else or from nothing else in this world. I don't live near the mountains. It takes 3 hours to get there. Yet, I do plan to move closer to the Sierra Nevadas in the next couple years. I just love being there. I love being in the mountains. I love being close to the mountains. They make me feel secure. I know if you know of a place or of an environment that you feel best at it, whether you're a mountain person or an ocean person, if you like being near the beach or near the sea or near the desert or something like that, then you know what I mean. There is a place that makes me feel just the best, and just being near the Sierra Nevada mountains makes me feel the best. I just love it so much, but it's going to take me a little bit of time to save up some money, especially after my accident. It's going to take me more time, unfortunately. So it's just going to be a little bit longer than I thought, or a little longer than it was before last year. Anyway, I decided that I wanted to take at least a couple days off and go up for a short visit. I couldn't take more than 3 days because it just gets too expensive. If you take, 3 days, couple nights at a hotel is fine, but once it gets to be 4 or 5 days, it gets to be really pricey, and I just couldn't do that. So I decided that, okay, 3 days, rental car fees, hotels, that's not too bad. So I drove up on Sunday morning and came back Tuesday afternoon, and I'm going to give props to the companies and the places that I stayed and everything where they're due. I do not own a car. So every time I want to get out of town, I either have to take public transportation or rent a car. And let me tell you, I'd much rather rent a car if I can afford it. I hate public transportation, and I don't want to take a bus or a train or anything unless I have to. In the pre-COVID days, it was pretty easy to rent a car close to home. There are rental car companies 3 blocks from my house, and they were always well stocked with cars. Well, after COVID, they don't have cars hardly ever there, or they're very short on them. The last time I tried to rent a car downtown, I got the last one. As a matter of fact, I was supposed to pick it up at 9 a.m. and they called me, or they texted me at 7 a.m. saying, we only have 1 car left. You better come down and get it. So I had to run down, I had to get dressed, run down and snag it and sign everything. And then I came back and got it when I was ready. But it was like, okay, if this is the way it is now, I'm not going to rent from the convenient place 3 blocks down the street. I'm going to have to go to the airport rental car headquarters and get it there, because I don't want to have to stress over it and risk not being able to get a car. And at SFO, they have all the cars available whenever you need it. So now I have to go through the whole trouble of taking Bart to the airport and taking the little airport AirTran, I think it's called, to the SFO rental headquarters and getting the rental car there. It's a major hassle, but it is what it is. That's what I have to do now. Things have changed a lot since COVID days. It is a pain, but that's what I have to do. I've used nearly every rental car company there is, so I know which ones are good and which ones aren't. And there is a difference. I know there's really only actually maybe two or three rental car companies, and they branch out and have these different, co-companies or smaller companies within the companies. But I know which ones are really good and which ones aren't. And there are some that I'll never use again, and there's some that are better. And I'll tell you, the one company that has done really good 2 times in a row that I really like is Alamo. Alamo has done really well for me, and I like them a lot. The last 2 times, they've just done a great job. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to go through Expedia the next time. I'm just going to go straight to Alamo. I signed up to be a member, so I'll get points. And the next time I use it is going to be in February, or I guess late January, when I rent a car and I drive back down to Boulder City in Nevada, south of Vegas, when I run the 50-miler at the Bootleg Boogie. And yes, I'm going to run it next year. And now, when I rent a car, I always rent a mid-size car because I've learned that the little economy ones are just garbage, and you don't really save a whole lot of money. You might save maybe $10 a day, and it's not worth it to get a crappy car because they really are bad cars. And a lot of times those little economy ones, the Bluetooth doesn't work. They're uncomfortable on long drives, and it just isn't worth it to me. So I'd rather spend a little extra money and get a comfortable car. The last time I got a mid-sized car, it was a Camry, a Toyota Camry, and I drove that to Boulder City, and that was a terrible car. It has the smallest gas tank I've ever had, and I had to stop twice during the drive to Boulder City to fill up the gas tank. Twice! Now, it shouldn't have happened. I should have only filled it up once and been gone. It's supposed to get great gas mileage, but the tank is so small, it doesn't matter. Now, this time they upgraded me. What I do is when I go to the counter, I am the nicest person in the world. I am the nicest customer you're going to meet all day. I am so pleasant and so sweet. No matter what the counter person, no matter what the employee is like, I am just so over the top sweet. And it works to my advantage most of the time. I get upgrades, I get free stuff, that kind of thing. They're fast, they're quick, they're pleasant with me, and it works, like I said, most of the time. So I got an upgrade this time to a full-size car, and they gave me a Chevy Malibu. And it was a great, great car. Yes, it's the same Malibu that our parents used to drive. My dad had a Malibu. It was a wonderful car. It was just perfect for the road, long road drive, comfy, easy to figure out everything. Really easy to figure out everything on the car, except for the trunk was kind of weird, but the mechanic guy in the garage helped me figure that out. But everything else, the Bluetooth was a snap. It was so easy. Everything was easy to figure out. Didn't have any trouble. It had a lot of power, which was really, really helpful. It was comfortable. It was a great car, a huge gas tank. Actually, I only had to fill it up once going to and from Tahoe, and I drove a lot when I was there, and I only filled it up once. I only spent $60 on gas. That was it. Done. So it was a really nice car. I loved it. So I didn't have any problems with it, and actually the whole rental price was fairly inexpensive. And Alamo was so easy to deal with. They were all so nice and just very pleasant. So yeah, I'm going to definitely use them again in February. Now I use Bluetooth to hook with my Spotify every time I rent. What I do is I download a playlist to drive to, and then I hook it up to the Spotify on the rental car. And what I found is that on those little economy cars, sometimes the Bluetooth doesn't work, but on the midsize and the full size, the Bluetooth always works. So yeah, that's why I go for the bigger cars. They're just better. They just are better. I decided to stay at at Camp Richardson Resort. Now, it's not what you think. It's not one of those lush, posh resorts with lots of amenities. No, it's not. It's actually a no amenities, pretty much place, hotel in a state park. it's very inexpensive, and it was nice. And I'll talk about them in a minute. Since I was staying at South Lake Tahoe, that means that I have to take Highway 50, not Interstate 80. So you take 80 leaving San Francisco, and then you go up to Sacramento, and then you have to switch over to 50, which is usually not a problem. However, Sacramento seems to be all under construction right now, and everything is messed up. It's usually so easy to just move over to Highway 50, but the highways are so messed up. I couldn't even tell where 50 was until it was too late, and I missed the turnoff. The freeways are so just screwed up right now. That was so frustrating. It took me 20 minutes to find another way to get to 50, and it was hot too. It was really hot in the valley, so I had to have the air conditioning on, and it took me a while to get up to Lake Tahoe. It took me longer than I thought it was going to take. Let's put it that way. But eventually I got up there, and it was so much cooler. It was in the 70s, perfect weather, absolutely beautiful. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful drive anyway. I love it. I love driving up there. If you're not used to those windy mountain drives, it can be a little hair raising. It's a little windy. Yeah, you take your time, you go a little slower, and I like driving those roads personally, so I don't have a problem with it, but some people might have a problem with it. Just go a little slower. If there are people behind you that want to go faster, just pull off when you can and let them go first. But I enjoy the ride. I have my music going, my music blasting. Yes, true. And I have a good time with it. So not a problem for me. Now, there's a ton of traffic in South Lake Tahoe. Of course, this is the height of tourist season, so it's lots and lots of traffic. So I wanted to grab my food first before I went to the hotel room. I wanted to get dinner and stuff like that before I went there. Now, I didn't realize that the resort is very rustic, and I do mean rustic. There's no microwave. Well, I knew there wouldn't be that. There's a teeny little fridge, the smallest fridge I ever saw. It's enough for like maybe 4 beverages. That's it. That's all it's for. This is for like 4 beverages. That's it. No TV, which I knew about. So I brought my laptop up so I could watch stuff on the laptop. So that's not a big deal. I don't have a TV at home. I'm not used to having a TV anyway. So I have my laptop, and the Wi-Fi was really good. So not a problem there. So I had that, and the room itself was beautiful. The mattress was wonderful. The bed was great. I had a corner room, and with the stairs on one side, so I didn't have any neighbors. It was quiet. It was just in a really nice part of the park. I didn't really have a lot of time to go out and walk around, or I didn't take the time, I guess is what it was. I was so tired from the drive that I just stayed up there and just chilled. Now, I had stopped at the Safeway in South Lake Tahoe and got a salad for dinner, but I wasn't as careful about my lunch, which I should have been. I did go to In-N-Out. I love In-N-Out. And I got a cheeseburger and a chocolate shake, which I should not have gotten the chocolate shake. That was my mistake. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. I settled in, and I prepared for an early start. I went to Echo Lake early Monday morning for a hike or a trail run. And I'd never been up there before, but I did hear that parking can be tough, so you have to get up there early. So I did leave at 7 a.m., and I got about an 8.5 mile hike trail run. That includes the half mile to and from the parking lot. And it was really nice. I did have to cut it short, unfortunately, because of some stomach issues. And I know better than to have a milkshake before I go out on a trail run. But I didn't think about it when I had it. It was just so good. Oh, Martha, no dairy the day before a run. Come on, you know better. But I still had a great time. It was a really, really good time. Echo Lake is a nice place. However, it does get really crowded with hikers and backpackers. And it being a Monday, there were a lot of backpackers starting their backpacking trip to Desolation Wilderness from the Echo Lake area, and it's a nice place to start your backpacking trip out. Even if you're going for the night or two, you can go to Desolation and have a really nice time for a night to come back. Or you could start your Tahoe Rim Trail from Echo Lake. That's also a nice place. If you have a car, you can park it right there and leave it there for a few days, for a couple of weeks. So you should be fine. A lot of people do the Tahoe Rim Trail. That's a really, really cool place to do a through backpacking trip. If you don't want to go out for months on the PCT, that's a nice alternative. If you can only take a couple of weeks off work, that's a good thing to do. It was very nice. The weather was perfect. It was I would say in the 70s, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful area. I would say though that I think the next time I'd like to go someplace that was less crowded. And Echo Lake, unfortunately, to me, it's unfortunately allows private building and private cabins, so that the lake is rimmed with private cabins that you can only get to through boats or hiking. So to get to the best part of that is to get past Echo Lake and get into the Desolation Wilderness, which I did a little bit of. I wish I could have done more, but I just couldn't. But it was still nice. It's a great trail. It's a nice trail to push yourself. It's a good trail. And they also have, Echo Lake also has this ferry boat. It's a motor boat, they call a ferry boat, that you can buy a ticket for. You can take the boat out and go out from there to Desolation Valley, or you can pick it up at the other side of the lake. I think it's like $20 or something like that. And it takes you from one side or the other if you want. It's whatever you want. The road up to Echo Lake gets a little dicey. It's paved, but it's very narrow. If you're leaving like in the early afternoon and people are still coming up, it can be a little scary. Just a little warning. So I think the best thing to do is to get up to Echo Lake early if you wanted to go there. Don't go up there later in the day. You're not going to find a parking space anyway. So afterwards, I went back to my hotel room, took a shower, and then I went out to this Mexican place that was pretty near the hotel and got some enchiladas. Now, people love tacos. They talk about tacos all the time. People love burritos. They talk about burritos all the time. But me, I love enchiladas. So if they have an enchiladas plate, a combo plate with rice and beans, I'm going to get that. I love me some enchiladas. So that was pretty good. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible, but it was pretty good. It was passable. So I ate those, and then I settled in for the night and packed up and left the next morning. Now, I had planned to do some more hiking the next day, but I was a little sore and I got a late start. And because there wasn't any coffee in the room, I had to go out and get coffee and breakfast. So I did that instead of going for a hike. And I drove the west side of the lake, which took a while. So by the time I did all that, it was a little later, and I just decided to drive back home instead of going for another hike and get back a little later. So I came back a little earlier. The trip did me a world of good. I came back feeling refreshed, and I felt ready to go and ready to tackle training and ready to eat right and to lose weight. And everything just feels really good. I'm in a much better frame of mind, and I'm really glad I did it. Next year, I'm going to, next summer, well, I'm going to be saving money to move, but I'm also going to be taking maybe do a camping trip, because I haven't done any camping at all this year. So next year, I'm going to at least go camping once. Now, this last Saturday, I went on a long run of 13 miles, and it was really, really good. It was a very, very good run. I would say walk, because I walked probably as much as I ran, if not a little more. But we had some of the weirdest weather I've ever seen. It started off, it was very humid and overcast, and it wasn't cold. It was just very strange. It just felt like humid weather. I decided, okay, I went down Van Ness, and I went down towards the marina. I went through Fort Mason and then around towards the marina. And then in the third mile, it started to pouring. I mean, really pouring in August in San Francisco. It's like, what? Are we on the East Coast now? What is going on with this? It was very strange. So the third and fourth mile was pouring. And then after that, and then I could see people huddling under the trees waiting for it to be done. And I said, nah, I got a run to do. So I just went out and I walked in it. So I walked for like a mile, and then it finally stopped. I was in the Presidio by that point. And I kept walking, and then I walked up towards the bridge, and I walked over down on that side, on the east side there, and then down through Baker Beach, and then up into the avenues, and then through Golden Gate Park, and then out towards Ocean Beach, and I ended out there. And I felt really good. Everything was on cue. Everything felt really good. I brought good snacks. I took a couple breaks. I know where the good water sources are. I know where the good restrooms are. I know where everything is. It was a really, really nice course. It was a really nice training run. It went really, really well. I was very happy. And then Sunday, I went for a recovery 4-miler, and I was so sore. And I tell you, after that recovery, I was even more sore. It was hard, but it was good. I'm glad I went back out. I think my recovery runs are even more important. They are just really, really good to shake everything out and to just keep going and say, yeah, this is good. So yeah, that was a very, very good weekend. Very good week of running. Just really, really strong. Now, as I was hiking at Echo Lake, I was thinking about some things, and I realized that when I used to trail run before my fall and before my hip surgeries, I knew how to trail run properly. I never had these problems. Of course, I never had a break in my running either. I knew how to do these things. I knew how to lift my legs up enough not to trip over things. And I seem to have forgotten that. I don't seem to do that now. So the real reason why I tripped and fall is because I don't lift my legs up enough. And that's just the simple truth of it. And that's probably the simple truth of why most people fall on the trail. My orthopedist said, well, sometimes stuff happens. Well, he said something else, but I don't swear on the show. But no, there's reasons for things. There's reasons why things happen. Things just don't happen, I believe. And my belief is that I was shuffling more than lifting my legs up. And it just occurred to me that I've had so many disruptions in my running over the last 4 years, and I've had so much, and nothing has been consistent, that I've forgotten how to trail run. So now is my time to get back into trail running and to get back into doing it properly, the way I used to do it. And I used to be able to do it just fine. I was a great trail runner. So I'm going to get that back. So that's part of the thing that I need to do, is to get my trail running back. As I learn to trail run over again, I will get my confidence back. And that was part of my realization as I was hiking at Echo Lake. It's like, yes, that's right. This is how I used to do it. So this was a real, real big boost for me. And it made me feel good. It was like I couldn't figure out why I fell, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't do this. And this really helped me a lot. So everything happens for a reason. We may not know why, but there is a why. And that is my why. So I hope you find your why. If you're looking for it, I hope you find it, because it's out there. It is out there. And this was a big, big why for me, and I found out why. All right. So that is this week's show, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you need to get out of town, if you need to take a break and get to someplace that makes you feel centered again, that makes you feel better, do it. We only have one life. We only really have this one life to go out and make the most of it. So if you need to do that, if you need to take a break, take a break. Just go get some sanity back in your life and do it, because it really is that important. Work can wait. All of these can wait. They can wait. They'll be there when you get back. Trust me. Go take a break and get yourself centered again. All right. That's my big, big take from this episode. All right. So that is it. The website is martharunstheworld.com. martharunstheworld.com. If you want to email me, it's martharunstheworld@gmail.com. And if you want to go to the website and help out and become a patron, you can. If you want to just give a couple bucks, you can do that as well. And until next week, let's tie up our shoelaces and go for a run.